Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jai Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Yamuna Tiravanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Mr. Pad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtoto to the Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtoto to the Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. So before we begin, just one little note on that song we sing. Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Vallabha, and what's the next line? Daniel, what's the next line? Daniel? What's the next line? Gopijana Vallabha? Girivardhari. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodananda. No, wait a minute. Girivardhari. But I heard Girivanadhari. Did someone sang Girivardhari? It's Girivara. Yeah, which means the best of hills. Yes, I know, and others do from many, many years ago. Hare Krishna, thank you for coming.
Vara also could mean, it could also mean the one who's lifting.
No, that's what it means. Dari is the lifting, but what is he lifting? The best of hills, not the forest on the hill. Girivana is Vana's forest. Vara is the best. It's a common mispronunciation. A lot of people do it, but I just wanted to clear it up. So, for future reference. Hare Krishna. All right, let's begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, sorry about that. A little delay here. Okay. On this 11th day of August 2025 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in chapter 7, entitled Knowledge of the Absolute, text 6, page 311. Okay. Etad yonini bhutani sarvaniti upadharya aham krishnasya jagataha prabhavaha pralayas tata etadhyonini bhutani sarvani upadharya aham krishnasya jagatah prabhavak pralayas tata etadhyonini bhutani sarvani upadharya aham krishnasya jagatah prabhavak pralayas tata etadhyonini bhutani sarvani upadharya aham krishnasya jagatah prabhavak pralayas tata. Go ahead, Jed. Etadhyonini bhutani sarvani upadharya aham krishnasya jagatah prabhavak pralayas tata. Etadhyonini bhutani sarvani upadharya aham krishnasya jagatah prabhavak pralayas tata. Naga. Etadhyonini bhutani sarvani upadharya aham krishnasya jagatah prabhavak pralayas tata. Anyone online? Guess not. Hare Krishna. Oh, you've even got your book? Great. Yeah, you've got a whole side to yourself. Yeah, but there's another men may come, so that's the lady side over here. See, we have one nice lady over there. Yeah, you don't have to sit so far, but whatever, here or there. Oh, you have a double. I already have extra fat mats. You got two, no problem. Okay, so we'll do word by word. So I'll read it myself. We're on page 311. 311. Oh, you got your own book, and you got two books now. Okay. Etat, these two natures. Yonini, whose source of birth, Bhutani, everything created, Sarvani, all, iti, thus, Ubadharya, no, aham, I, Krishnasya, all-inclusive, Jagataha, of the world, Prabhavaha, the source of manifestation, Pralayaha, annihilation, Tata, as well. All created beings have their source in these two natures. Of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. So what are these two natures, who remembers? Last few verses. First he listed the material energies, boom or apple, on an ovaya, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego. All of those are inanimate, progressively more subtle. And then he said, this is the upara. This is the lower energies, but there's also para prakriti consisting of all the living entities. So everything that exists that we see is a combination of those. You see, this whole building is just the material energy. Our bodies are certainly combinations of the material energy and the spiritual energy. So that's what he's saying. And I am the source of all of those energies. Prabhava, aham, Krishna said Jagatak, in the whole universe really, Prabhava, Pralaya, the creation and dissolution. So those energies are Krishna's energies. Purport, everything that exists is a product of matter and spirit. Spirit is the basic field of creation, and matter is created by spirit. Spirit is not created at a certain stage of material development. Oh, sorry, I got to read that again. I'm sorry. Translation. All created beings have their source in these two natures of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world. Know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. Purport. Everything that exists is a product of matter and spirit. Spirit is the basic field of creation, and matter is created by spirit. Spirit is not created at a certain stage of material development. Rather, this material world is manifested only on the basis of spiritual energy. This material body is developed because spirit is present within matter. A child grows gradually to boyhood, then to manhood, because that superior energy, the spirit soul, is present. Similarly, the entire cosmic manifestation of the gigantic universe is developed because of the presence of the supersoul, Vishnu. Therefore, spirit and matter, which combine to manifest this gigantic universal form, are originally two energies of the Lord. And consequently, the Lord is the original cause of everything. A fragmental part and parcel of the Lord, namely the living entity, may be the cause of a big skyscraper, a big factory, or even a big city, but he cannot be the cause of the big universe. The cause of the big universe is the big soul, or the super soul, and Krishna, the Supreme, is the cause of both the big and small souls. Therefore, he is the original cause of all causes. This is confirmed in the Katha Upanishad 2:13. Nityo nityanam chaitanas chaitananam. Om jnanatimirandasya jnanandana shalakaya chakshu unmilitam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So, let's put this in context. Krishna spoke the 6th chapter, which is all about dhyana yoga. 8 different elements, right? Yama, niyama, etc. The do's and the don'ts, sitting nicely, breathing, withdrawing the senses, concentrating, meditating, and achieving samadhi. Arjuna was very pessimistic that he could do it. He says the mind is powerful than the wind, and it's like trying to control the wind. Chanchalam himana pramati balabhadradham, very obstinate, very powerful, and impossible to control, which is the whole basis of yoga, of Ashtanga yoga, controlling the mind and placing it on the super soul within the heart. So finally, even though Krishna was encouraging him to say, well, even if you fail in this one lifetime, you'll take your birth in a very pious family or wealthy family, but pious, so you won't have to, you'll be able to take up the process next birth. That's the idea. But Arjuna was not so enthused by that. And so finally Krishna enthuses him by speaking the last verse of the chapter, Yoginam api sarvesham madgaten antaratmana shraddhavam bhajate yom mam same yuktatamamadaha. I consider the best yogis those who are always thinking of me within the heart, who are worshiping me with great and transcendental faith in bhakti yoga. And so Arjuna says, oh, well, I'm always doing that. You're my friend, I'll never forget you. You know, he's many lifetimes he spent as Krishna's friend, although he's forgotten those previous lifetimes. Krishna hasn't. So that's encouraging for Arjuna. And then in the first verse of this chapter, Krishna now he says, Maya saktamana parta yogam yunjan marashaya asangshayang samagramam hita gyasati tachunu. Now hear me, Shrinu. I'm going to explain how you can much more easily fix your mind on me. You see, my asakta, and your mind can become attracted to me. The whole point is that if we're trying to think of something impersonal or some dot on the wall or something that's not attractive, that's really difficult for the mind, because the mind has so many things, memories of things that we want to think about. You can go off somewhere. So, but if the mind is attracted to the object of meditation, then it becomes much easier. That's the whole idea. So Krishna consciousness from the beginning, as soon as you start chanting the name, the very name Krishna means all attractive. In fact, the definition of Krishna, Prabhupada would always point out, by Parashara Muni, the father of Vedavyas, he wrote this verse. I don't know what, I forget or don't know what scripture it's in. But it's there. Aishwarasya samagrasya viryasya yashashakshaya jnana vairagyaschaiva shanna bhaga hitingana. Shanna means 6 and bhaga means an opulence or something that's very attractive. So Krishna possesses these 6 opulences. And by the way, that's a change in the English language. If you look in the dictionary, you won't find opulence as, I have 3 opulences, you have 4 opulences. No, opulence means you possess wealth in general. But Prabhupada changing the language, he said there's 6 opulences. So the first is wealth, of course. Samagrasya means all. It's not that he possesses, more wealth than anybody else. It's all his. Whatever we think we possess, we're stealing. But everything that's opulence, so he possesses all the opulence. Viryasa, strength, right? Yashasha, fame, and Shriya, beauty. Jnana, knowledge, and also detachment, or renunciation. It really means detachment. So these 6 things, when you think about them, they are very attractive in a person. If someone is very wealthy, then automatically people want to know him. Maybe he'll become my friend, and I can make some money with him, whatever. It's very attractive that someone is multi-billionaire. So, and of course, strength is very attractive, and fame by nature. Fame attracts people. You want to be the life of the rich and famous, right? And Shriya, beauty. Krishna is unimaginably beautiful. He possesses all. You read about in the Bhagavad Gita or any of the writings of the Goswamis. It's all about how stunningly beautiful he is, attractive. And of course, knowledge and detachment, jnana, vijnana, jnanam, vairagya, and vairagya. So these are the things that are attractive. So first thing we need to know, we need to be able to do is to integrate our remembrance of Krishna with our daily life. So then we're going to hear some verses now where Krishna is identifying himself with things that we experience every day. Taste of water, light of the sun, light of the moon, right? The ability in man, the fragrance, all these things. These sensations are made possible by Krishna's energies. How do we smell a flower? Well, there's some chemical in there that's grown, that makes it pleasant. So there's the chemical. The chemical is part of Krishna's energies. So is our nose, all complicated in the way that you have for smelling things. So if we remember that, we first remember, I am the fragrance of the earth, or I am the light of the sun and the moon. Well, where is the sun? What is the sun? It's this huge, we call it a planet, a heavenly body, right? Much bigger than the earth. And what is it doing? It's fiery. It's always, if you see it, it's always lit very powerfully, and we know there's all kinds of fusion going on there, whatever. But whatever you describe it as, it's a interaction of the material energies, earth, water, fire, air, ether, it's happening. And that's Krishna's energy. And our ability to see it with the eyes, that's also Krishna's creation. So the light of the sun and the moon can also remind us of Krishna. So this is part of what's known as Sambandha. I think this came up recently, that Lord Chaitanya tells Sanatana Goswami that there's nothing in all the Vedic writings but these 3 subject matters. Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana. So let's just review them. We already know about them, we just may not know the labels. So Sambandha is precisely this idea of understanding what the world is made of, who is the source of it, and where do we fit in? What is our relationship with this world and with God, you see? That's the first thing. And so when one is understanding that, he has faith in the descriptions such as the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and from the spiritual master. Then along with that understanding, you go on to Abhideya. Abhideya is the practice by which you realize the truth of the things that you may be learning about. The presence of Krishna, of God in the heart, you know. This is something that we need to understand. But to really realize it, we have to practice chanting and doing a lot of things and not doing other things. That's the process of bhakti. Don't do this, one, you know, A, B, C, D, E, or A, B, C, and D, anyway. And do all these other things. And you'll gradually become advanced in devotional service. And you'll feel the presence of Krishna in your life more at every moment. Now, of course, the real essence of the Abhideya is that you mold your life in such a way that the activities that you're performing, even bodily activities, you think of these as service. All right, I'm taking rest now. That's also a service, so I can become strong and alert the next morning and perform my services. So it doesn't have to just be, you know, conking out, you know, but you say, okay, I'm taking rest because, you know, keep the body healthy like that. So everything you do is dovetail. The meaning of it is that you're becoming more fit to render service to Krishna in all different kinds of ways. So your whole life becomes a sacrament, you see? This is the whole idea. So it begins with this understanding, and this is not the only place where Krishna says this. He says the same thing more or less in the famous verses in the 10th chapter, which are these 4 essential verses, 10:8, 9, 10, and 11. So he says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo, mattak sarvam pavartate, iti madvabhajante mam buddha bhava samanvata. So the first 2 lines, he's more or less saying the same thing, a little more generally. I am the source of everything, everything emanates from me. Then the second part of the verse is, those who know this, who have faith in this, they worship me with all their hearts, you know. And then he goes on how they worship, and then anyway how he responds. So this verse is very important because it kind of sums up this idea. I am the source of everything, prabhava, and I am also the destruction of everything. There's a rhythm. There are whole huge, you know, blocks of time when there's no material manifestation. It's all drawn within the body of Mahavishnu. Everything is dormant. You know, and we're also in there. Luckily, you know, we're unconscious, but we're alive. Maybe, you know, I don't even think we're dreaming. We just, yeah. But the karma is all there, recorded, you know, and then we come out again, take up the. So that's the rhythm of the whole thing, and Krishna is behind everything. You know, behind it all is the supreme consciousness and the supreme person who's in charge of all of this. So, and then this last line of the purport, I remember this verse. I think we did a little revision here because what Prabhupada says, this is confirmed. The cause of the big universe is the big soul or the super soul, and Krishna Supreme is the cause of both the big and small souls. Therefore, he is the original cause of all causes. This is confirmed in the Katha Upanishad, Nityo Nityanam Chaitana Chaitananam. Now, all that says is that of all of the eternal, you know, conscious beings, there's one eternal conscious being. But then what it says is, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitanam Eko Bahunam Yogadadati Kaman. So that third line means that, and there is one supreme eternal conscious living being who is supplying necessities for all the others. And that's Narayan, that's the Supreme Lord. So that, I think we added that third line. All this says is there's one eternal conscious being, and there's many others, you know, eternal conscious beings. But how is it that this is confirmed that he's the original cause of all causes? Well, if he's providing the necessities for all the others, then you can understand he's supreme. You know? Anyway, it's a small bit. Okay, no discussion. We'll go on. Yes, Prabhu. What happened to the mic is here? Because we have an audience, I hope. Haribol.
So we discussed Sambandha and Abhideya.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a third
Prayojana.
Prayojana.
Yeah, I didn't mention.
Prayojana is like
the goal
the
of the whole
perfection,
thing.
the goal, okay.
That's, it boils down to pure, uninterrupted love for Krishna, which manifests in services of all kinds. Now, I would encourage you. I know that you've got your system there, but that little notebook of yours is now full of sacred words, and you're putting it on the floor. Okay. Hare Krishna. All right, we'll go on to text number 7. Okay, now this is a very famous verse. Mattak padatarang nanyat. All right, let's try that one again. I'll do it a little slower. Mattak padatarang nanyat. Kinchadasti dhananjaya. Maisarvamidam protam. Sutre maniganahiva. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. Purport. There is a common controversy over whether the Supreme Absolute Truth is personal or impersonal. As far as the Bhagavad Gita is concerned, the Absolute Truth is the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And this is confirmed in every step. In this verse in particular, it is stressed that the Absolute Truth is a person. That is, that the personality of Godhead is the Supreme Absolute Truth is also the affirmation of the Brahma Samhita. Ishvalak Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. That is, the Supreme Absolute Truth personality of Godhead is Lord Krishna, who is the primeval Lord, the reservoir of all pleasure, Govinda, and the eternal form of complete bliss and knowledge. These authorities leave no doubt that the Absolute Truth is the Supreme Person, the cause of all causes. The impersonalist, however, argues on the strength of the Vedic version given in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad 3.10. Tato yad uttarataram tad arupam anamayam ya etad virat amritas te bhavanti ate tade dukam eva piyanti. In the material world, Brahma, the primeval living entity within the universe, is understood to be the supreme amongst the demigods, human beings, and lower animals. But beyond Brahma, there is the Transcendence, who has no material form and is free from all material contaminations. Anyone who can know him also becomes transcendental, but those who do not know him suffer the miseries of the material world. Page 312. The impersonalist puts more stress on the word arupam, but this which means without form. But this arupam is not impersonal. It indicates the transcendental form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge, as described in the Brahma Samhita quoted above. So arupam means without any material form. Other verses in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad 3:8-9 substantiate this as follows. Vedhahametam purusham mahantam aditya varnam tamasak parastat tameva vidadvaiti mrityumeti nanyak panta vidnite yanaya yasmat param na param asti kinchid yasman naniyo na jayo sti kinchid vriksha iva stabdho divitistat tenedam purnam purushena sarvam. I know that Supreme Personality of Godhead who is transcendental to all material conceptions of darkness. Only he who knows him can transcend the bonds of birth and death. There is no way for liberation other than this knowledge of that Supreme Person. There is no truth superior to that Supreme Person because he is the supermost. He is smaller than the smallest, and he is greater than the greatest. He is situated as a silent tree, and he illumines the transcendental sky. And as a tree spreads its roots, he spreads his extensive energies. Close quote. From these verses, one concludes that the Supreme Absolute Truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is all-pervading by his multi-energies, both material and spiritual. So one point that's often brought up in relation to this verse from the Bhagavad Gita that we just read, that Krishna is saying here, I am Maisarvamidam protam. Everything is strung on me as pearls are strung on a thread. So if you have a very high quality pearl necklace, you won't see the string, right? It'll be really tight. That's the idea, that we can't see the support of everything, but he's there. Everything is resting on Krishna. And periodically, he withdraws the support of this universe and everything turns into its component parts. There's a dissolution. And all those energies, both the higher energy and the living energy, are withdrawn into the body of Mahavishnu for millions and millions of years. So that's it's a cycle. And we don't know how many of those cycles we've been through already. We've been here, who knows, millions and millions of births. And of course, in many places here in the Bhagavad Gita, and especially Bhagavatam, you find so much encouragement. Don't waste the human form of life. It's so rare. What is that verse I always quote? Labdva sudurlamamidam bahusambhavante manushyam artadam anityam apiya dhira turnam mitetanam patedanam rityavad nikshayasaya vishaya kalusarvatakshyat. Which means you've attained this rare human form of life after many, many births. Sudurlabham idam bahusambhavante. It's rare, and bahusam means many, many births. Manusham, same word, human. And what is the value? Artadam. This word arta is so important. We know it as part of the fourfold goals of Vedic life, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So there, Dharma means, in the context mostly as material Dharma, pious work, within the realm of the Vedas, so that you can get Artha, wealth. Who needs Artha? Oh, then you can get Kama. You can satisfy your material desires. And then after you're kind of disenchanted with this cycle, which just keeps bringing you back to another birth, then you want moksha. But the moksha usually in that context is understood to be liberation. Liberation is a negative thing, right? You're throwing off your shackles. Well, then what are you doing? Is that the end of the thing? No, then you live a life, So the impersonal liberation is incomplete and unsatisfying ultimately. And Prabhupada would always quote this verse from the prayers of the demigods for Krishna in the womb, in the 10th canto, near the beginning of the 10th canto, when Krishna is about to take birth. So, chronologically speaking, right now, they'd be offering those prayers the next few days, right? Because Janmashtami is on Sunday. So this is very appropriate. Ye nye adabindakshi vimuktamaninas tvayastabhavad avishuddha buddhya aruha kritrena padang padang tata patantya dho anadvicha yushmadangriya. So, they've been praising this is in context, they've been praising the glories of the devotees. But now they say there are others besides the devotees. O lotus-eyed Lord, yea and yea, adabindaksha, vimuktamaninas, who they think that they're liberated. This is the impersonalists. Tvayastabhava, but they're averse to serving your lotus feet. Abhishuddha buddhya, so their intelligence is not really pure. And a few of them, not all of them, a few, by great effort, aruha, they rise up with kritrena, severe austerities, negating the imperatives of the mind and the senses. Kritrena, padam padam. Padam padam is the Brahman platform. Okay, they're actually able to rise up to that. And they don't have a spiritual body. This is just a Brahma Jyoti they're in. But then patantya, they eventually fall down because it's not satisfying for the soul. We are little sample Krishnas. We're made in the image of God, right? It's not that he has a human body. We have a Krishna body. Our body resembles Krishna to some degree. So, and since we're made in his image, we also have his desire for relationship, rasa. That's what we're after. We have the poor imitation in this material world, which is always unsatisfying, whatever relation we have. And a lot of those relations with inanimate things. Think of how many boys between 12 and 20, are obsessed with the video games they're always coming out with. There's an illusion of some relationship. You're fighting or whatever you're doing there, right? But eventually it ends, right? So, but we have our original relationship, a swarup siddhi. That's what real mukti is, not this emergence and merging into the Brahman. Because the patantido, it says right there in the Bhagavatam, they eventually fall down. Because it's, okay, it's great to be liberated. No more birth, no more old age, no more disease, no more death. No, 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 no. Well, where was the yes, yes, yes? What to do? Is that complete, just being free? I give the example. Suppose you're in a car accident or something and your leg is broken, so you're laid up in the hospital, you're in traction, that's, otherwise you're okay. So your consciousness, so then you really hope, when will it come when I can finally get out of this hospital, I can walk well enough so I can function, So that day finally comes, and you get out of the hospital. So liberation, no more traction, but is that it? And you sit down on the curb, okay, I'm out of the hospital, great. No, you go and resume your activities, right? That's because there's so many things to do. So we want to resume our activities in the spiritual world, which we left countless eons ago. Not just to get free of birth, old age, disease, and death. Now, just to be clear, that desire for liberation in that sense is a good impetus to get you going in spiritual life. And that's why Krishna says in the 13th chapter, he's listing all the elements of knowledge. I think verse 8 to 11 or 12. And one of them is Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi, Dukkha, Doshana, Darshanam. To always remember to see, the evils, the great pains of birth, old age, disease, and death, which we've experienced countless times already. It's no picnic, But Maya helps us to forget that. I'm 22 years old, I have a strong body, I could enjoy like this, study and do all these things. You're not thinking, oh, how can I avoid old age, disease, and death and rebirth? You forget. That's what Maya does. She makes you forget the actual situation. So Bhagavad Gita, spiritual master, is meant to remind you, this is the real problem. Not trying to make money and get some so-called success in this life. That is Maya. That is illusion. It's temporary, self-defeating. It covers your impetus for spiritual life. Better that we live very simply and we inquire what the real goal is and what the means of getting out of this. So that's the thing. So Krishna is saying, "Mattak paradanang nanyat." Very, there's no one superior to me. Beyond me, parataram, superior, not. There's no one superior. Kinshid, anything else there is. Anything else, anyone else. Oh, conquer wealth. In me, everything is in me is strung on me like pearls on a thread. You see? So that's the way, this is the way of remembering Krishna. If we remember this verse, then everything should remind us of Krishna. We're seeing this, we're seeing that, and we can think, oh, here's a tree. You see, what is that tree? There's a soul in there, an unfortunate soul who simply consciousness is very, very rudimentary. Otherwise, the suffering would be unbelievable. Like he's just thinking, oh, I'm thinking, when am I going to get free at it? But there's a conscious being in there. And what is the tree? The tree is simply earth and some liquid and water. It's these elements. So there's nothing but Krishna there, part and parcel, the energy. That's and the material side of the energy, the combination. So in this way, the pure devotee who's completely realized, everything reminds him of Krishna. He doesn't just see a tree, but he sees like that. He sees Krishna's energy. So how can he forget Krishna? And the thing is, we willingly forget Krishna so we can try to compete with him. That's why we forget Krishna. So cultivating constant remembrance of Krishna and serving Krishna is meant to purify our heart, so that we're very eager to remember Krishna and to serve Krishna, because that's our real nature. You see? So this is again the definition of mukti in the second canto. It's not this merging into Brahman. Muktir hitpa anyata rupam swarupena vivastitihi. Let's take this one apart because it's very important. Muktir hitva, giving up anyata rupam, other forms, just such as this one. This is not a real form, right? How could it be? It's always changing. Which one of these forms are we? We're not. We go through life, changing. So we give up all these other ones and all these other species and all these other bodies. No more of that. And to be situated in your swarup, your actual original form. Vyavastitihi. You see? Now what is that? That is Swarup. We know the verse from Lord Chaitanya. Jivera Swarupoi Krishnera Nityadas. It couldn't be simpler. I mean, practically, if you know Bengali, it doesn't matter. So Jivera Swarupoi. Hoi means is. The original Swarup, or form, of every jiva, of every living entity, and there are countless hundreds, trillions of them. So as to be a servant of Krishna, eternally, Nityadas. Then the next line is very important too. Krishnera tatasta shakti beta beta prakash. Here's your beta beta, here's a chincha beta beta. So Krishnera tatasta shakti, the living entity, every soul, is a marginal part of the Krishna's marginal entity, tatasta shakti. Means that we're Krishna's internal energy constitutionally, but we have a tendency to also be attracted to Maya. That's the marginal. Like when you go down to the beach and there's always the tides coming in, you know, there's some that's covered and then it's uncovered. So that's the margin. It can either be covered by the water or it can be uncovered. So we can be covered by Maya or we can become uncovered again. We should always remember the vast majority of living entities, they never come here. There's with Krishna in Goloka, some of them in Vaikuntha, you know. We're in the minority. We turned away from Krishna. Bhayam dvitiya vinaveshidakshat isha rapetasya viparya asmati. It's a very nice verse describing how fear, as soon as you lose your contact with Krishna, then fear comes up because you're vulnerable. You don't feel that protection, that connection from Krishna constantly. So this describes the source of fear, and it also describes the way out of the fear. A very nice verse in the 11th canto. I could probably call it all the time. Bhayam is fear. Starts out with a fear. Bhayam vidya binaveshitak. Vidya binaveshitak means becoming absorbed in the dualities of the material energy. You see? Syad. This was bringing the fear. How did it happen? Isha rapetasya. We turned away from Krishna. We turned our back on Krishna. Isha, he's the Lord. Apetasya. Viparya smriti, and forgot everything, and everything became reversed. Instead of being Krishna's humble servants, we became his competitors. You see? Viparya asmriti, we forgot. Everything's covered now. So, how did it happen? Yes, just 1 second. And we get ready with the mic. We have an audience, so we like all the questions, okay? But let me finish. So he goes on, Viparya smriti, tan mahayato, this is by the force of Maya, by his Maya. Buddha, the intelligent person living in Abhajetam, what does he do? Naturally, turn toward Krishna again and start worshiping him. It's not so easy, so you need the intermediary, the realized soul, the spiritual master, guidance. But if you have the understanding, then you'll search out that opportunity. Abhajet, to Abhajetam, how? Bhakti aikayation, with one pointed devotional service. You know, unmotivated devotional service. I mean, not materially motivated. Esham, and Guru Devatatma, regarding the Guru, the spiritual master, as a representative of the Lord, as a divine representative, Guru Devatatma, and one's very self, you know. So that's in one verse. You have a, how do we fall and how can we get back? Yes, what's your question? Yeah, just press that button till the light goes on. You see it? Green? Help around me.
Okay, so my question is, what does that do? Oh, first, it doesn't make sense when you say we turned away from Krishna. What do you mean by that? Like the fallen souls?
Doesn't make sense what?
What you mean when you say, you're saying the statement, we turned away from Krishna. Are you saying the fallen souls turned away from Krishna?
That's how we became fallen.
And they're competing with Krishna, is what you said.
Yeah.
So what does that do for karma?
What is it? Well, karma has many meanings, but let's give it the meaning that often in the Bhagavad Gita, it's activity that's self-motivated. That's not activity that's part of your service for Krishna. In other words, everything that we do, there's a reason why we do it, right? And in the conditioned state, there's always some kind of selfish or extended selfish, meaning that, okay, I identify with my family or even in my nation, you know, and so so many of my activities are geared toward supporting the family, or even going into battle for the nation, you know. So that's fruit of activity. It's self-centered. But karma, there's also, it can be generally just mean activity. There can be activity that's not self-motivated, meaning that it's motivated because we want to serve Krishna for his idea. Like I'm doing this here. I'm not doing this for money, you know. I'm doing it because this is part of my service to Krishna, presenting his teachings in a way that maybe is more accessible. You know, I've been doing it for a long time. So he says that at the end of the book, he says, those who teach this science to my devotees are sure to come back to God. It's my hope. I don't know. But the point is that it's not a fruit of activity. It's not like, okay, I've been doing it for an hour now, and I can go get my paycheck. There's nothing like that at all. The paycheck is just seeing that I can somehow convey the teachings, and that we're all, our understanding increases and our desire to perform devotional service. So when we come to this world, we forget Krishna, and we forget the whole world there, and we identify with our particular body that we have and the relationships with it. This is called illusion, Maya illusion, when we forget Krishna willingly. And so the mission of Krishna and his representatives is to remind us of our actual nature and how we can be really happy in this world. This is one of the themes, right? You probably learned as a child. What is it? Sarve sukhino bhavantu. May everyone become happy, right? Well, how can that be? And it can't be materially, you know, but everyone can be happy spiritually. There's room. There's always more room in Krishna's lotus feet. So that's the idea. Karma has, it often means different things in different contexts. Often there's a place where karma means activities according to the Vedas. Now there are parts of the Vedas that don't directly deal with bhakti. They're for going to heaven, going to material heaven, to Indraloka, karma kanda. So many sacrifices, so many austerities you need to perform, and you can maybe become qualified to go to heaven. But Krishna discourages that. He says, Kamais taistarvita jnana papadyante anya devata tangtam niyamastaya prakrutya taksvya. Those whose minds are distorted by different material desires, they worship the demigods to go to heaven. But then in the 9th chapter, he gives the final verdict. He says, Trai vidyamam somapa putapapa yagyatisvar svargatim pratayanti te punyamasata surendra ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan. So it's kind of complicated. But basically he says, those who follow the 3 Vedas, and these are talking about the Karma Kanda section, the different Vedas, they worship me indirectly. Somapa, and they drink the soma juice. And those who are successful, they actually get to go to Indraloka, say, to a heavenly planet. Te tam bhuktva svargalokam vishalam. Means that they enjoy godly delights. Vishala means, for a long time, that you can't find on this planet. The dancing girls, beautiful, and everything. And so that's great. Yeah, I'm enjoying. I got it made. But then he says, Te tam svargalokam chine punye marchalokam vishanti. It's like going to Hawaii. Imagine that you have a pretty good job, but you have to save up for years, work really hard in order to get the money to take your family to Hawaii, the flight and the hotel and everything. Right? So you have your credit card, okay. And you're enjoying your vacation in Hawaii. Of course, you know that it's not forever, so maybe 3 weeks, and you enjoy like anything. But at a certain point, if you're not careful, you'll give the credit card and said, "Oh, Mr. Jones, I'm sorry, this credit card. Do you have another one?" No. Maybe I'll have to call my office and get me a ticket back to the mainland. The point is that chine punye means that your pious credits run out. If you plant a certain number of trees, you give out so much food to the poor, you're getting pious credit, which can come back in your next birth. If you have enough of it, you can go to heaven for a while. But it's material. Once you start enjoying, you're not doing the sacrifice anymore. You're spending your piety. And chine punye, and Krishna doesn't mince words. He doesn't mince words. Martya lokam vishanti. He doesn't say you come back to earth. He says you come back to this world of death. Martya lokam. So what did you do? It's a big detour. You wasted time. Because once going to Goloka Vrindavan, you don't come back again. If you can rejoin Krishna, where we came from originally, you see, then you're free of the impurities of the mentality that's brought you here and kept you here. So Krishna consciousness is, the word consciousness is there. It's changing your mind, your understanding of who you are, what this world is, what the real goal of life is, and how to achieve it. And that's karma. Karma is. What is your definition of karma? Okay, you did. All right. Okay. Yeah, you can read chapter 4. It's about karma yoga. Go ahead, Daniel.
Okay, so you were talking about how we're all marginal living entities, the marginal energy of Krishna.
Yes.
And you were comparing us to like people on a beach, and some are submerged in Maya, some are not covered by Maya. And then you also said once we go back to Godhead, that we don't come back.
Yes, Krishna said that several times.
So I just want to see what is your opinion about are we originally coming from Golok Vrindavan, or are we originally marginal and then we advance?
No, we're originally in Golok Vrindavan.
Okay.
We all fell. Yeah, that's Prabhupada's understanding, and that's what we accept. Is that, yeah, every living entity is part and parcel of Krishna, and we have this original rasa with Krishna that's fully satisfying for us. We may be a coward boy, we may be a coward girl, we may be an elder gopi, whatever, we could be a cow, but everything is fully Krishna, fully conscious there. It's not that the cows are, particularly dumber. They just have a different form, but Krishna loves them so much, So somehow or other, and this is the only answer. Now, why do we have that free will? Wouldn't it be a lot easier if Krishna didn't give us any free will and we couldn't fall down, But that means that there's no love. The love has to be freely given. Otherwise, it's not really love. There's this word of servitude that Prabhupada would use all the time, meaning servitorship. But look up servitude in the dictionary. It's slavery. And so it's not slavery up there. We have the option. And it's not that, we're marginal, therefore we're sometimes covered and sometimes uncovered. Marginal means that we have the tendency, or we have the propensity to go to embrace matter, to turn away from Krishna. It's a minority position, but we have the freedom to do that. Because if we didn't have the freedom to do that, it wouldn't be love anymore. It would be compulsion, Prabhupada said famously, Krishna doesn't want us to love him at the point of a revolver. That's not love. It's all simply free will. So free will means that we can misuse it. And we're part of the minority that has misused it. So we're trying to reform that because, you can change. So in the right association and by proper activities, we can develop the strong faith to clean. It's actually cleaning our hearts of this selfish separatist mentality and understanding our real position as servants of Krishna. And then, Teresa, I don't know if you were here when I shared this. This is a little phrase from a verse from Jiva Goswami, one of his Sandarbhas. Prabhupada quotes it in the second canto. And this is the essence of the whole goal that we're looking for. It's a short version of this famous verse, Anya Bilashata Shunyam, which is in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which really defines the goal of the whole process. So here, Jiva Goswami has put it into this very short little motto. It says, Bhajaniya Padama Purusha Sukha Matra Swasukatvam. That's the whole thing. So Bhajaniya Padama Purusha, the worshipable Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhajaniya Padama Sukha Matra, solely the happiness, the pleasure of that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Swasukatvam is your happiness. Taking your pleasure and happiness only in giving pleasure to the Supreme Lord. That's the attitude of all the intimate residents of Goloka Vrindavan, and that's the mentality we're trying to cultivate. And it's not easy because we're so habituated to finding pleasure in the senses and so many things.
So we advance in consciousness, but we don't advance from the marginal energy.
We are constitutionally marginal.
We're constitutionally. Okay, that was the question.
Yeah, we're constitutional. But just because we have the ability, or to fall under the sway of Maya, we don't have to. It's our free decision. That's the whole idea. Oh boy, how do we get to 10 after 8 already? Wow, what happened to the time? All right, so a couple of nectar verses. By the way, I must confess, I was listening to my recording of the Krishna Karnamrita the other day. And at the beginning I say, this is a selection of verses from Krishna Karnamrita, because some of them are a little too intimate, for mass. But, so there's a good 90% of the ones that. So if anyone's interested in that recording, just let me know. Send me an email, I'll send you. And here's a verse from there. This I don't have a poem for this, but this is a verse that I encountered in the second chapter of the Madhya Lila. There's a quotes there from Karnamrita. So it's Radharani is crying out to Krishna, Hey Deva, Hey Dayate, Hey Bhuvanayaka Bandho, Hey Krishna, Hey Chapala, Hey Karunayaka Sindho, Hey Nata, Hey Ramana, Hey Nayana Abhirama, Ha Ha Kadhana Bhavitasi Padantra Shorme. Oh my Lord, Hey Deva, Hey, oh my beloved, Hey Dayate, Hey Bhuvanayaka Bandho, Hey, oh only friend of the whole universe. Hey Krishna, Hey Chapala, oh Krishna, oh fickle one. Hey Karunayaka Sindho, he's fickle, but oh, you're the only ocean of mercy, Karunayaka Sindho. Hey Nata, oh my Lord, Ramana, my lover, Ramana. Hey Nayanabi Rama, oh the light of the eyes. Ha ha kadana bhavitasi badangta shorme. When will I see you again? When will you see me? I'll see you again. So it's there. Just look up, go to database IO. You don't have to spend a penny. Get on your phone and and then you find it in the Madhya Lila chapter 2. But let me do one that has a nice poem to it. So, okay, this is you have to visualize a little bit. So Krishna's gone into the forest with his boys and the cows. He's running ahead of all the cows and of all the boys on the bank of the Yamuna. He and Balaram are running, And so this is a poem about that scene. Let's go, said Krishna, don't delay at all. And he and Balaram began to run ahead of all their coward friends who called, Oh Krishna, Rama, let us join the fun. And off they ran to Braja's forest haunts, to play in every bower, grove, and sward. Sward is a meadow. His friend, to play in every bower and grove and sward. His friends would tease their friend with playful taunts, forgetting his position as the Lord. Shri Krishna is inviting us as well to join him in his pastimes which enthrall. The wise heed Krishna when they hear him tell, Let's go, my friends, do not delay at all. Hare Krishna. So that's a taste. I'm going to do a slideshow on Janmashtami with some of these poems. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for attending, and please, let's do it again tomorrow.